So for our positive youth development lab, our group decided to do a blindfolded maze, and it's pretty basic. All the equipment and setup, all you really need is two people, some open space, a blindfold, and some cones or barrels, chairs, just some sort of obstacle for the participant to go in through, I guess. So yeah, like I said, the two people, one of them will be blindfolded, and he'll be using a blindfold for that, or a shirt, or just something that will obscure his vision. And the second person will be just communicating and telling him what to do. The open space, it really depends on how complicated you want to make the obstacle course. That really will determine how much space you really need. And same for the cones, barrels, and other obstacles. All you really need. It just really depends on how complicated you want to make it. The more complicated you want to make it, the more obstacles you're going to want, and the less complicated, the less you're going to want. So, yeah.
The rules of this game are very simple. You will put people into pairs. One person is going to be blindfolded and the other person is not going to be. The person that is blindfolded is then going to go through an obstacle course. They have to be solely reliant on auditory feedback. This means that their partner cannot touch them to move them out of a way of an obstacle, and they cannot take off their blindfold while they are going through it. The obstacles will be placed in front of them after they have put the blindfold on so that they do not know where the obstacles are in front of them. You can make the obstacle course as big or as small as you want. For younger kids, it's better to make it smaller and simpler, and for older kids, you can make it bigger and more complex.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm going to be talking about the character lesson for our game and how we implemented the steps to the cooperative learning approach. Our character lesson we've decided to focus on is trust. Trust can be incorporated into our activity because it'll be imperative that partners trust each other to succeed through the obstacle course. This leads me into part one of the cooperative learning approach. Partners communicating with one another will be very important and will contribute to the positive interdependence because each person can succeed as long as everyone's succeeding. This is also apparent in part two, which is face-to-face interaction. Partners will have to communicate in order to be successful. Part three is individual accountability, and for a pair to succeed, they will both have to put in equal amounts of work. Communication skills is part four, and I've already touched on this, but in this activity, it'll be important for the partners to have an open line of communication to complete this course. Lastly, step five is opportunity for feedback. This will be involved in our game because when and if the course is complete, the partners will be able to discuss their successes and failures and how to be more successful in the future if needed. Leaders of the game can also talk about what they saw between different partners. And this activity addresses all of the steps of the positive youth development implementation in a fun and engaging way for the kids. Thanks.
Okay, this part is age group and adaptations. So this game can easily be played at any age. Either way, it'll still be challenging and fun. You can set this game up in many different ways. If you want to make the game more for kids that are 8 to 11 years old, you'll make it easier. While at the same time, if you want to make it for 11 to 14-year-olds, you just make the obstacles harder. Okay, to make it harder for the older kids, all you have to do is set up more cones, barrels, or obstacles, and it'll make the course longer and more challenging for the older kids. To make the course easier for younger kids, you just add less cones, less barrels, or less obstacles, and it'll make the course shorter, and it'll make it easier and funner for the younger kids. No matter which way you're playing, this game will be fun, and no matter what, it'll build teamwork and character, which is exactly what we want in this game.